Here we go.
The radio.
Gong.
So we've got some more interesting stuff to throw out this week. Some stolen doggy valor. We're talking about pets that are not necessarily what we call federally supported.
Well, it's funny you say that because there's really no governing body for that.
Yeah.
It's really
there's no regulatory
stuff
at
all. There's a lot of independent people to do it.
Right.
But
they have to be, from what I understand, they have to be sanctioned therapy animals, right?
Well,
there's a program.
There's a tagline that they go through that gives them the tagline of emotional support, whatever.
So where it kind of came, what it kind of came about was, what do you do with service dogs that are retiring, right? And so that's what ended up happening. So if you had like a dog that showed exceptional abilities to be calm and help be around people. It started with nursing homes, taking dogs to nursing homes, petting dogs and stuff like that. And the emotional support dogs is one of them, but there was a lot of dogs that detect seizures.
Sure.
And those are highly trained dogs. Mm-hmm. So those dogs generally
they start out young,
very young, and they're very structured in the training. So you have Dogs for the Blind, which is probably the most noted organization.
Yeah, that's the most.
Don't you have monkeys that'll go and get forks and stuff like that for people that can't?
You can, but
mobility people.
But you can't trust monkeys, man. That's the problem with them. Monkeys
they're up there sticking it in their butt before they bring it to you. You know,
my dolphins can find floating mines.
Yeah, that's true.
So using animals has been a huge part of supporting mankind.
It comes from service. It comes from the services and police work and stuff like that, and then that's people learn.
The secondary and tertiary effects of these training programs roll out into the public sector for sure.
But now we've got an abuse of that. You've got a society that's fascinated with their pet but can't leave home.
Let's cover a little more of this before we go.
Let's
go there.
I'm jumping ahead.
Yeah, don't run too hard on that one, because what ends up happening is that you get people that see people with dogs.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
So you get law enforcement with the drug sniffing dogs and the bomb sniffing dogs.
We had bomb sniffing dogs, and
we
had
guard dogs. You had prisoner retention. You had all kinds of things that these dogs were doing in government and private sector.
For the bases I was on, the dogs that were like drug sniffing dogs, which we use, the dogs that we would use. Because we had these instances where if there was any kind of drug trade going on, sometimes what they would do is they would there was an identified spot where they would throw drugs over.
Right.
So they're trying to bait the dogs. Is that what you mean?
No. It's to conduct a transaction.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we were discovering is they started walking these dogs around the perimeter, and these dogs would find these caches that were they're waiting for a customer to come pick them up. So the dogs that were drug sniffing dogs, if you took them out on mission somewhere, they weren't the same ones who were inside.
Yeah,
very specific dogs.
It is, but I've seen, being in the side of the industry I saw was in law enforcement. They did have multi-purpose dogs where it would be a drug sniffing dog.
Because they don't have the funding for them. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So they would have to multi-train these dogs.
Sure.
And all of ours were task specific. Yes.
Yeah, it's federal money. It's federal money as opposed to government city money.
Local municipalities.
And for us, we were exposed to dogs that were trained under like U.S. training systems, German training systems.
Yeah.
Because we were coalition based, you got to see training methods that came from all the people that are under the coalition.
And not a cheap instrument. I remember when I was looking at it in the 90s, dogs were anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000.
Oh yeah.
That's a huge amount of coin to drop.
There's a huge investment in those dogs.
Yeah.
So what's funny about this whole thing is, so you have this entire industry built around dogs.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just do dogs for now.
Yeah.
And so what you have is a sector of people that are pet lovers.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have everybody that sees these service dogs being decommissioned. Mm-hmm. And what I mean by decommissioned is like put down.
Yeah.
And so you had a lot of people that were petitioning. This is during the Clinton presidency. He probably killed as many dogs as Hillary's killed political opponents.
Because they'll bring up something about the money that takes to bring those dogs home.
Yeah.
So it's a lot cheaper to just kill them where they're at.
Right. And so that really started a movement of bringing a lot of these dogs back. So a lot of guys have been able to adopt these dogs.
Which I'm all for. I don't. There's no reason to put a dog down that doesn't.
None whatsoever.
That's exactly.
None.
So
I actually,
the fact that it's inconvenient, you're going to put them down.
Yeah, that's a bunch of bullshit.
Really?
Yeah, I actually think we should start with the senators and congressmen.
Let's put some of those. Yeah, when we're done with you.
Yeah, I mean
that's where you're going to go.
Yeah, once you pass your 4 years, you're
guarantee
across the Rainbow Bridge with you.
Guarantee if you knew that was a potential
alternative,
boy, howdy, you would see some straight up flying right.
No, absolutely. So so you have that, and so we, and then, like I said, service dogs for the blind. So we live in an all-inclusive society now.
Yeah.
So where everybody feels like I need an emotional support dog.
Right.
Okay. So they decide I'm just going to go online.
Yeah. No, listen. I'm going to go to Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. See, I wouldn't give Bezos 1 minute of my time. But we could do that.
All right.
So we give Bezos the shot, right? So they go to Amazon. They get the service dog collar and the harness. And
I want one in a pretty purple vest.
There you go.
That kind of bullshit.
And so next thing you know, it's an emotional support dog.
Right.
Okay.
It's a Chihuahua that needs more emotional support than you do.
Yeah. Well,
it's got white. that comes with a feather boa.
Exactly.
Yeah. So you see a lot of people now.
Yeah.
And I really think this started when the Paris Hilton.
Paris Hilton, that's exactly where I was going to go.
Yeah, where Paris Hilton and all them started carrying these little chihuahuas around, these little purses and designer purses. And so people would say, hey, you need to take your dog out. Oh, no, this is my emotional support dog. And it's like, so I think that's really where you start seeing these things start. And now it's everywhere. I mean, trust me, you guys know me. I'm a huge dog. I love my dogs.
Me too. I mean, we're all dog. We all have dogs. All of us have dogs.
All have dogs, and they're a big part of our lives. And I like them because they're respectful, they're appreciative, and they're compliant.
Loyal.
Everything you're looking for in a friend,
in a person,
everything. You're looking for all these things, and these dogs give. And they give and they give.
Yeah.
No matter whether you have a good day or a bad day.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hate to see the abuse that goes on with them because, you just see a lot of that. So these people start showing up in public with these dogs. And if the dog is not trained, it's a good way to get bit.
Yeah.
Okay? It's a good way to get somebody hurt. I've seen dogs fight that have emotional support
tag collars on. Yeah.
And and that's not what a dog does. A
Yeah.
service dog is made specifically to be a calm.
They're used to being in stressful situations.
And they ask you not to touch them.
Yeah.
Please don't pet my dog. Don't fool with the dog. Yeah, it's really nice. I appreciate it, but he's trained for me.
Yeah.
And that's the way it should be. So you see a lot of that. There's no regulatory body that says this is a service dog and this is not. But you have organizations that provide the dogs. So it's automatically assumed that there is some kind of christening for these dogs.
Says this dog is actually the moniker of.
But nothing to keep Susie the homemaker or Barry the bum from putting these things on their dogs saying this is my emotional support dog.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the verification method or the validation there is
certification. That's the word.
Well, no, I mean when somebody walks up and says, "Hey, can you show me some paperwork that says that your dog is what it is?"
Right.
They don't have to provide that.
They don't give DD-214s for dogs. You didn't do your service and get paperwork.
So the beauty of it is it's stepped outside of the dog world now.
Sure.
We've got we've seen emotional support cats. The best one that I've seen so far is a guy in Florida had an emotional support alligator.
Right.
And this thing, I don't know, I think it was a good 4-footer. And the guy says, "Oh, I can cuddle up with it and all that stuff." And I'm thinking, you know what? A few more chickens, and you won't be cuddling with that thing. He'll be having you for breakfast. You'll wake up one morning, you'll be halfway down his gullet.
It's like a emotional support cupcake going. I can sit by him and just rest. And knowing that nothing's ever going to happen.
Exactly.
Wrong, motherfucker.
Well, we talked about kangaroos.
We did. We talked about Graham having an emotional support animal.
We thought it'd be funny if you were able to pick emotional support animals based on your personality and your persona.
Yeah.
So we kind of did some research for Sam, and we come up with a good one.
The emotional support cobra. I think that would be the perfect animal. It's cold-blooded.
Well, it stays darkened in a basket.
It does.
Okay.
It stays out of its way until it's needed.
Right. And when you want it to come out and play, you just pull out your flute and start blowing on it, right?
Exactly. And you just never know what you're going to get.
And see, I have a whole nother thing going on in my head about you blowing a flute.
No. You blowing a flute, not me. Ain't my cobra, buddy. Ain't my cobra. You can swing all you want. It ain't connected. And so when you look at that, You know, you go, okay, so support monkey. We talked about.
Yeah.
I just can't imagine.
I want to support direwolf
There you go.
with Valerian steel teeth.
There's a toss out to our last podcast.
Yeah, like I said, it's prompted states to start passing laws.
Yeah.
And this is where you don't want it to go, people. Because now the state's going to start legislating.
Government regulation ruins it for everybody every time.
The health department pretty much determines where you can and cannot take your dog in public.
Yeah.
And so I have friends that take their dogs everywhere with them. I'm not knocking on y'all for that. I will not do that with my dog.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want your dog here in my taco meat. You know what I mean? Keep it, leave it. If you go into a restaurant or if you're any place where there's food, you know?
If you're in a community that's widely accepted, I got that.
Yeah.
No, if you're in a place where it happens, I get that. But I'm not really a big fan of that. I will not do that with my dog.
I won't eat there. I can tell you that.
Here's the crazy thing about emotional support animals, or the emotional support label, is it is not a recognized condition by the American Disabilities Act.
No, it's not.
So, but you have this behavior going on in society where people are basically denoting their animals as having this thing. So it makes me wonder how long before the ADA goes, okay, yes, we'll start recognizing these things as an accepted whatever.
I can just see a pack of dogs in a picture with the hashtag #MeToo below it.
Now, if that acts, I mean, if emotional support does become sort of an accepted moniker,
Right.
in this instance, I would say Daenerys and the dragon come and burn us all. Burn it to the fucking ground.
I just want to see you walk your Cobra into a bar.
Exactly.
Well, I'll just be happy because I survived the previous day.
So how long before our emotional support animals need emotional support? That's my next question.
Oh my god!
You know, if dogs can talk,
Yeah.
oh my god, you go, get me away from this crazy bitch.
You know, speaking of, there's been some speaking of crazy bitches and animals. You've got that fruit bag out in California that the pet sitter.
The pet sitter.
The pet sitter.
Oh, the naked girl.
Yeah, the naked girl.
Naked pet
We
sitter.
got a pet sitter in California that likes to sit naked, apparently.
Well, what it is, there's an app called WAG,
Yes,
and it's for pet sitters.
Right.
I was laughing that I was like, "There's even an app." Somebody had enough money to create this database that's only for people who walk fucking dogs.
Okay, first of all,
sitters, pet sitters.
this came. I guarantee you. I don't know any background on it, but this is where it came from. A dude in California that sits around and smokes pot.
Yeah,
and has the means to write an app.
Sure.
Wait!
I got an idea for an app, dude. It just hit me. I got an app.
I got $1 million idea.
And here we are with WAG.
It involves a leash and a collar.
Oh my god!
17 hours later, we have WAG as an app, and that's how I guarantee you that's how we got here.
And a star is born.
So what happened is this person was going to go out on a trip, and they went to this WAG app, and they found this young lady.
Yeah.
Come highly recommended. I think she's a 5-star.
5 stars,
right?
apparently.
And so, and he told her up front, he goes, look, he says, I need you to watch my dog for a few days. I'll be out of town. I do have a camera in the house.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to tell you up front. And she's like, oh, no, I have no problem with it.
Yeah.
So the guy decided to check in on his dog, and he saw this young lady kind of
buck ass naked.
Well, it started out she's half naked on the
half
couch
naked, then,
with her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Which was kind of weird, right? So her boyfriend's there.
Well, there's something you don't see every day inside my house.
Exactly right. And then each video that he was recording, it got a little more suggestive. Them getting up and going into the bedroom. She's in a t-shirt and panties.
Yeah.
And then, I don't even believe she wears panties. She probably didn't have any on. She
Probably
didn't look
not.
like that kind of girl.
No.
And so, so they get up, they go into the bedroom, and then there's one shot of her walking behind the couch, right by the camera, just as naked as you please, and just
perusing the house, man.
So all this goes on. The guy comes back home, and it gets the attention of a news channel.
Right.
And the news channel goes out and interviews the guy, and he's telling his story, kind of like we just did. And they go find her, and they ask her,
They track her down, and she's going to give her story.
Yeah, he goes, he told you he had a camera. So, yeah, I had no problem with that.
Yeah, she knew
no
what
problem with that.
I guarantee you it was planned. I'd almost bet, being that it's California and knowing Californians the way we do,
right?
It wouldn't surprise me one bit if she had mapped this whole thing out to get the attention that she got. Because I guarantee you, she's got jobs lined up from here to Christmas. I was going to say,
it's my Hollywood reel.
Exactly. Well, no, I mean, what single dude in Hollywood now doesn't have a dog? You know what I mean?
True, but by the looks of her, every cat in the neighborhood would be following her.
That's true.
For miles. But yeah, so they asked her about the naked part. She goes, "Oh no, I love being naked.
I love being naked.
I have no problem with that."
Yeah.
So I just think that California is just full of kooks, man. I mean, one after another of these crazy things start climbing out of the woodwork. And when you can't use pets, we go to artificial intelligence.
Yep, AI.
We just phase into AI.
Right.
And it's funny is because it gets commercialized quite regular. Because you remember it was Osmo, I think it was, the Honda robot that they showed for years. And, they keep struggling with all these AI. And in one of our favorite shows, Billions, showed some guys developing stability robotics.
Okay. Throw some pencils on the ground.
And you couldn't navigate. So, it always seems to be failing.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll never really quite replace.
Really, if you look at physics in general, it's tough to make a computer think that fast.
Well, I know there was a company years ago that made this thing called Real Doll.
Yeah.
And now they're going to robotics with this real sex doll. We were talking about some of the weird shit the Japanese are making.
Yeah.
And so it kind of brings us to the advertisers market a little bit. And there's a kind of a company, you might know them. They're kind of famous for doing underwear ads.
Yeah, Calvin Klein.
Calvin Klein. Some people call him Cloven Hind. But one of the Jenner girls is one of their big models,
right? And
so she got her friend a gig,
right,
to do one of these commercials with an AI robot, and we talked about this in an earlier podcast. And so she kisses the robot,
right?
And she makes her little statement, and
it's a real brief ad. It's not long. It's real fast. Yeah. She comes on, she makes out with the robot, and it's like Calvin Klein underwear. And it just fades off, or whatever the hell it is they're selling.
Famous Calvin Klein whisper bullshit.
Right. Yeah. Which I can't stand.
It's that New York artsy crap.
Exactly. Right. What's what they say?
Right. So this thing just kind of storms off into all kinds of craziness. But it just goes to show California is just the breeding ground for this shit.
Well, Calvin thinks that, all right, I've appeased the lesbians by having this chick make out with the lesbian robot. First of all, it's a robot, so I'm confused at the lesbian moniker here. It's not a real.
Lesbians, most things are involved. They have motors.
I'm just kind of curious to see what would Zoolander say.
Oh my God, it's not big enough. And he does that. That's the best part of that. Yeah. Anyway, so she's making out with a robot, which really has no sexuality whatsoever. It's an inanimate object.
Well, it depends on who you ask.
Okay. Well, you're asking Todd, and Todd's telling you that's an inanimate object. All right. It's no more.
Where's the quarter slot on this thing?
Exactly. It's a fancy television. Okay. So they get the LGBT community gets all up in arms about this, and they start freaking out that they haven't used a real lesbian to make out with the fake lesbian, the one that's not a lesbian. Mm-hmm. So I'm not understanding where your argument's coming in at this point. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Well,
we know why they're making the argument, because it's not what it is on its face.
It's not commercially. So basically, they're saying the argument is that you're sidestepping the lesbian aspect by using an artificial robot instead of using a real lesbian. So that means you're not committed.
Right, and they were committed. And the fact they were mad.
Before there was a fucking word for women kissing women, it was just women kissing women.
Yeah.
So, and they're also mad the fact that they didn't use a lesbian model.
Saphic love or something like that in the Greek.
It's just crazy that what they were.
So what they come up with, but again, it goes back to what we were talking about. It comes down to dollars.
Right. Sure.
We didn't get paid out of this. We didn't make a cut. Somebody in our group didn't make a cut.
We can't market off of it, is basically
exactly.
Because you didn't use a real example. You didn't commit to the cause, is what they're saying.
Right.
Yeah.
And so now Calvin's having to backpedal.
Sure.
By by saying
an apology and probably upping their contributions to said.
But aren't almost everybody that works for Calvin and in that design and fashion industry, aren't they part of the LGBT
pretty much
community?
batting for that team to begin with?
Yeah.
Okay, so
I don't have any Calvin jeans at my house.
Yeah. So I mean, if somebody leads. If that's part of their life, who fucking cares? I don't care how you go through life. But this whole thing of the ad was about a Calvin Klein product,
and it was written by people of that persuasion, though.
Right.
It wasn't like somebody said, "Hey, let's go fuck their world up," and
and then you have an outside agency that or group that jumps in, and because you didn't specifically say whatever this was,
we didn't grant you permission. To represent.
We didn't sign. How come you didn't consult us on this?
Didn't get the
fuck
stamp.
you.
Yeah, and exactly. In Calvin's defense,
you're not a plaque holder in this fucking company.
It's Calvin's commercial.
You know what? And I would respect the guy if he actually stood up and said that.
I would have said that too.
I would get bent. This is my commercial. This is my artistic representation.
I would have more respect.
Take a leap.
Any business that makes a decision if you're trying to make your company more successful, however it is that you fucking do it is how you do it.
Yeah.
If you have some freaking marginalized group that raises their fucking hand and says, "You didn't acknowledge us," well, fuck you, dude. I don't give a shit.
Right.
That you live your life this way, but I damn sure am not going to make you a part of something that you have no decision making responsibilities to.
Right, exactly.
So what it really is, though, it's agenda driven. Okay, so it's basically it's morphing into an attack on normalcy.
Right.
And it's attack on it's going to be white males.
It was damn near almost a cannibalistic attack.
Pretty much, because it wasn't a commitment. It was the tip only.
Right.
And that's what
Sorry, Ken. You got me with that one, dude.
Pisses them off. It pissed them off.
But it was only the tip.
It's only the tip. You gotta think Calvin's like, holy shit, what's it gonna take to shut you the fuck up?
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
And just that line, just that statement alone, no matter what it is, what is it going to take for you people who find something to fucking bitch about to just not bitch and just watch the content and either, silently to yourself say, either I agree with that or I don't.
As if their ads aren't gay enough.
Exactly. Well, so here's an interesting, this is kind of a roll in with this, and this is something that just struck me. We didn't talk about this beforehand, but I'm sure y'all have seen this. So they had a debate on a campus where they were debating gender fluidity.
Oh, yeah.
And basically, does it have a dick or does it not have a dick? That was the argument, okay? Right. And to put it in crudest terms, that's what they said.
It's
a penis.
Gonna have
what's in your penis, right? So they had two sides of the debate, and it would start out that they would say, look, there's really only two sexes. There's male and female. And the gender fluidity group would start out trying to argue against that point. But then they would come back around to, well, we have to settle on the scientific fact of has a penis, doesn't have a penis.
Okay, so let me just
Sure, no, jump in.
In regular biology, plants will be female or male.
That was the point of and so it came to the point of then the rest of this is in your head, right? Mm-hmm. Gender fluidity. Mm-hmm. It might be real to you. That's fine. You can say it's real and you're part of this group, but it's in your head and it's subjective.
I'll let you play Cowboys and Indians. Go ahead.
So
so are all the dragons and elephants flying around the room, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And it comes down to that. So getting back to the Calvin Klein point of this chick making out with a robot and the LGBT community jumping in,
right?
It kind of goes against their own premise of
they do these brilliant moves like this and they go, oh shit,
we just stuffed ourselves.
Exactly,
not in that sense, Graham. It's like basketball, stuff.
Yeah, it's funny.
Get out of my head. My imagination is mine.
Right. So it's funny. You're right. That's what they do. They end up doing this all the time. They make these. This is what happens with passionate arguments with no basis.
Exactly.
And
that's what it boils down to. That really is the crux of it.
Sure. And so now they're spinning up another venue of hate in the artificial intelligence world against the white males.
Yeah, exactly.
Too
many white guys are programming AI.
Yeah, too many white guys are programming AI. Well, dang, dude.
That's been the latest call from several tech industries. There was an article written. I want to say it was 6 or 8 months ago.
Yeah.
where Silicon Valley had been developing AI for
Quite a
Microsoft, Google's another big
machine
one.
learning, all that shit.
Right. Those are the two big organizations that are into it right now. And someone took notice and said, hey, I just noticed all the guys that are writing this code are all white.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you've got this big push. Again, the same thing of, well, they're just programming these AIs to be white. They're going to be, basically, AI is going to be racist, is what they're trying to say.
Yeah, and what's funny, people, is you can put the silicone hood on anything and make it anything you want. It really can. I mean, when you look at the cutting edge, and I'm going to go to the Japanese on this.
Yeah.
Because the Japanese spend more time in detail realism on these facial models.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched several shows on that.
Did you see where that one thing where they talked about how many hours of oral sex that they studied?
30 hours, 30-something solid hours of oral sex.
Yeah, just to create this one robot.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
the head robot.
It was the most smoke-filled room they'd ever seen.
Exactly. Oh my god! Perfect.
And I'm sitting there and I'm going, okay, that's the dude smoking pot.
So
Exactly.
it's like, why is all this lotion in here?
Because he can't spit.
It's this technology is going around that.
Oh, it is.
I mean, we just talked about the station that goes on the side of the road that you can actually have sex with.
Right.
And I'm like, oh my god! And this is in France and in Japan.
But think about it,
by
though.
Vaseline.
Don't you want the nerdiest white guy you can programming your sex robot? Because that dude's going to have all the imagination for that stuff. He ain't never been laid. That's the guy I want doing it
It's
for
like
me.
this guy knows me.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, then again, here we go, where they turn into a hate-filled venue.
They did.
Okay?
It can't be light and funny. It's got to be ugly.
And that's the sad thing about it, is because this group says, well, hate is bad. Yet here we are.
Generating the hate. They're the ones generating the hate.
You had a group of young students who decided, hey, you know what? I want to make a career in learning artificial intelligence or further my career. Mm-hmm. Nobody looked to see, well, you know what? We can only allot X amount of people of certain ethnicity to do this. Mm. These people furthered the technology
You either
along.
I can tell you this, being somewhat tied to that, you either got the brain to do it or you don't.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things technological I can't do. Right. I just don't have the brain to wrap my head around.
Well, all the breakthroughs in AI have been from out-of-the-box shit anyway.
They have.
I mean, literally, and a lot of it comes from institutions that can fund the out-of-the-box shit.
That's right.
And that's where you get the smartest of the smart that goes in there. And, one of my favorite movies was Real Genius.
Yeah.
With Val Kilmer. Oh, that was a great show about...
And see, that was the 80s. That's been a long time.
80s
early 90s, maybe.
Yes, it was one of those where you had these guys that were so far out there, but then so brilliantly focused on these tasks.
Yeah.
Those are the ones you want on there. When you start worrying about multiculturalism, I'm telling you, everybody's got a piece of this pie, though, and they're this is where they're messing up. Because when you look at India, and you look at Asia,
China,
and all these, even Europe, everybody has their clan of geniuses that are coming up with this incredible artificial intelligence. On my side of the world, it's all about machine automation for manufacturing.
Yeah.
Especially in the food industry.
Because you're giving it a task.
Dude, it used to be where you, say like to make cakes, okay? You would have to bake the cake, cool the cake, put the cake together, ice it, and then decorate it.
Right.
With people.
Yeah.
We do that shit with machines now.
Yeah.
We actually have robotics that can make 10,000 cakes look exactly the same way every time, and not miss a beat, and not use but 2 people where it used to be 32 people.
I'm tied to a guy in the industry that I work in that handles those controls. It's a company called, he wouldn't mind me saying this, it's a company called Red Line Controls.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
So you remember those guys.
I remember that, yeah.
It was amazing what they could do with simple machine language. The machine language for it is incredibly simple, but it's amazing what all they can do with that. Right. So...
when you get into the nuts and bolts behind the stuff that we were just dealing with, oh my god, So
you want the smart guys doing that. I don't care, like you said earlier, about where you're from. I don't care if you sit in a room with funny hats on your head. I don't care what you do.
Don't give a shit.
You quit making this about
something that it's not.
It's not. Yeah. because you want the technology to grow. You don't want to sit there and latch onto it. Basically, what it looks like to me is that they want to latch on anything popular that's going to get them screen time,
right, or a paycheck.
Yeah, and that's something you just get tired of seeing. You know, it's just one of those things that California just never quits giving, man. They just all this shit. I mean, you look at AI coming out of California. Mm-hmm. That's the big hotbed for it.
Yep.
You know, you have MIT that's doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So we're gonna shift to the Midwest a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And we're gonna move ourselves since we're talking about crazy shit that happens. And I look up the board, you know, and I'm going, where did I just go?
Yeah.
It's just the California crazies right now. They're talking about water.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're having it's not on the board. They're having all kinds of problems in California with water right now. And so I just got a report the other day on from a food industry journal, and they were talking about how toxic the water in California has become.
Right.
And they're all like aghast at the fact that.
So because they tend to use a lot of catastrophic language.
Oh no, it's got dioxins in it. It's got glyphosate in it. It's got industrial and agricultural waste in it. Okay. So, you know, when you look at why that happens,
right?
When you start letting government agencies
regulate all
start to take, they don't even really regulate. They take payoffs.
Okay.
They're doing favors for friends.
Right.
Okay. Friends in high places, and then what ends up happening is you have this residual fallout of all this. Goes back to the same argument about the Calvin Klein thing. When somebody steps in and says, "But this,"
yeah,
okay, we can't feed the world because because immigration is stopping our laborers from coming through, so we have to use these means to do it. That's bullshit.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No. Well, this. Go ahead and finish because I'm going to tell you when you brought up whole thing about regulation. I'm going to jump in.
So
after.
What you have is you have a group of people that get involved in the food and drug and USDA, and they say, "Oh no, this is safe for use." And then you see dudes wearing white suits to apply the shit.
Yeah.
And then you put out a bullshit article. I think it was New York Times did this article where it says that they're good enough to work, but they can't drink the water. And I'm like, you disingenuous fucks.
Yeah.
You know, you guys are the ones pimping the guys.
Right.
That are paying the government to do this shit. So anyway, that was my rant on crazy Californians, because now they're trying to say that somebody needs to take control of this water problem. And I'm like, oh, here we go.
So when you brought up the thing about just, you know, government regulation and stuff. So yesterday I had to help Chief do a thing, and you know how the stories with Chief go.
Yeah.
Yes.
So anyway, so he had a bunch of chemicals and automotive fluids that he had to get rid of. And what he learned was there's a place over off of 290.
Oh, there's 2 or 3 places here in town for that.
So the one that's for us was over off of 290. And what he learned is, so he resides in the city of Houston, whereas we are not. So, but because we reside in the county, our county residents allows us to go to these facilities, which to me just kind of blows my fucking mind. Is
right.
If you live in the city of the county that has this location that handles this task, why would you not let county residents go?
Use it?
Because the city's location that does this kind of thing is located on the south side of town,
right? And
it doesn't accept gasoline in any amount. Okay. So the place where we go, or the place that would take it, only took it in 5-gallon increments. Well, so I meet him there, and he's got this 55-gallon drum.
Good God Almighty.
Of crap that he pulled from his.
Did he mix it all together?
Yes.
Oh, genius.
So, but the thing is everything came out of like rusted.
Didn't he work for the fire department?
Yeah, but
arson investigator.
Okay. So we have, because we were laughing about this, because the first thing he brought up is he goes, Graham. He goes, you realize that you know how many Article 15s we're committing we'd get for this? I was like, yeah, a lot. We'd get a lot of Article 15s. But he's like, you see all these? I have all of these because I made good fucking decisions.
Okay.
And I was like, actually, that's that. And I was like, okay.
Still doesn't make me feel any more comfortable.
So always that one time.
So we're offloading this stuff. So we go in and it was like a crapshoot every time we went through this line. Okay, so you know how Chief is with people. He's a people person. So we go in there, and he is sharp like a fucking cobra to these people.
Okay.
Talking down to them the entire fucking time.
So they're willing to help him all the way.
So I'm there to kind of soften.
You're the soft side of it?
Yeah.
Wow, Graham's the buffer.
Well, because I was like, dude,
Came up with this plan.
I was like, do you realize you have fucking chemicals in the back of your truck that you want them to take possession of?
Right.
Stop being
Deadly
a fucking dick,
Right.
and let's get this shit taken care of. Well, what I didn't know is, so we get in there, we move forward. Well, he jumps out of the truck, and it's a brand new truck.
Right.
So, he wants to lower the tailgate because he doesn't know any of these guys. So this one lady flips the fuck out.
Because he came out of the truck.
He's out of the truck.
Yeah.
So she starts to say something, and so I get out now because I see the look on her face, and I said, "Whoa, lady, we got this." I was like, we're not doing anything here that's going to endanger anybody. No open flames or anything. He's just helping your people. We'll get back in the truck in just a moment. Well, she was still taken aback that I said, "Whoa."
Yeah.
So, and I got back because I was done talking to her. I'm not going to fucking engage in a conversation with her.
Yeah.
I've said what I need to say, and I'm going to get back in the truck.
Right.
She's steadily bitching that I fucking yelled at her.
Okay.
So we get back in, and
So
then
it was loud and clear.
yeah, it was yeah. So we get back in there. So we're driving around, but this management of this facility was fucking crazy. Every time we would come back around, we had a new person that was taking it. So by the third time we come back around, my name went on, or my address went on this list like 4 times.
He's on a list now.
I'm surprised
Another
they didn't turn you guys in as the 2 dudes with a bomb in the back of the
Exactly.
truck.
Yeah.
Timothy McVeigh's brother showed up today.
Well, because one of the, so we start going into this
McVeigh
conversation. I'm like, this place is an intake facility for highly flammable shit.
Yeah.
If I really wanted to fucking do something here, I would throw a big fucking fireball at this place from the fence because I know how far I can throw. You're within range.
Oh, Graham.
You're within range.
Just light the truck on fire and send a go devil in
Yeah.
there, man. You know?
Yeah. But anyway, so we would it was just this one. Everybody else, with the exception of this. Oh, there's this other dude. There was this because there was this
totally turned into the Graham show.
So but it was one of these things where there were parts of this show where the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing.
Right.
And I'm like, do y'all fucking communicate at all?
No.
Because
not with terrorists.
So,
you two, you're
and it was funny because the moment, because
the emotional support dog.
Yeah, the emotional support dog
online.
These people are not used to being spoken to the way that we were,
right?
Because they were used to being the ones dishing it out.
Oh yeah.
By the time we were done, it was like, dude, get the fuck out of here. I wanted to leave a box. I wish I'd have thought about it. I'd have loved to have left a box of tissue there as I was driving out. But it was like the craziest mismanagement of government money.
Yeah.
Period.
So in closing, what we've determined is
wait. Go ahead and sum it up, boo. I'm going to add
go
to
ahead.
this.
No, you go.
Okay.
So it's funny you talk about the Harris County RDA.
Yeah.
Oh
God! There was a guy in a high-speed pursuit by the police. He threw a pistol
gun
out the window, and she fined him for littering, but not for having the weapon.
Or endangerment of anybody.
Throwing
Yeah.
a pistol outside of a window was a littering
She called it
offense.
Littering. $200 fine.
So there you go.
Who did this?
The Harris County DA.
Yes.
Is this Og? Kim
This just
Og?
happened.
Yes,
This is,
that's her. Just happened last week.
Yeah. Just happened.
So, and you're surprised?
Oh my God!
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is crazy,
Dude, you guys made the list for sure.
Oh, there's
I
no
guarantee
doubt.
that's gonna. I can't wait to see the video. It's gonna be on YouTube somewhere.
Yeah.
Can we make a
These
whole
guys.
county the bottom
With
of the
Benny
barrel?
Hill song
Yeah.
as they
Can
drive
we make
around.
the whole county the bottom of the barrel?
Harris County is quickly falling into that hole, especially the way they manage things. But yeah, so anyway, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, in wrapping up, what we need are more people like Graham to program AI for us. Because how interesting would that be?
Well,
Terminator would be born tomorrow.